This all coming as a press conference has still not been announced from officials after a busy few days in the investigation, where earlier this week, video and photo surveillance footage was shared to the public. And we also saw that white tent there that was put up and quickly taken down outside of the residence. To break down what we do know this morning is Darren Porcher, former NYPD lieutenant, joining us live there in Tucson. Good morning to you, Darren.
Good morning, and thanks for having me as a guest.
Absolutely. Well, let's just start. There were several developments overnight there. What do we know as of this morning?
Okay, as we parse this out, we had a magistrate that signed off on a search warrant, which resulted in a successful execution, taking 3 individuals into custody. I want to say just short of 2 miles away from Nancy's house. And then we had a 4th individual that was taken into custody at a Culver's fast food restaurant that was several miles away further. We don't have any groundbreaking information that's been introduced to the public. However, this is a break in the case that can assist to allow us to extract more information to make an identification as to a possible suspect. In addition to that, trying to find out the whereabouts of Nancy Guthrie.
Now, Darren, a question I think the media has had is why have we not had a press conference? Because this seems like this could be a major development in this case. So why are officials not yet sharing more information with the public?
I think it's of optimum importance for law enforcement to introduce a fact pattern that would allow the public to assist in this case. And it goes back to not too long ago, there was a blast that was sent out to people that lived within a 2-mile radius to provide law enforcement with camera footage of something that would be suspected activity that would rely, or I should say, present a level of concern to law enforcement. That was a key piece in enlisting the public. But when we speak to a press conference, I think we would have a more established line of information that we can all listen to and hear, but that hasn't happened. But we have to also bear in mind we had a significant development overnight as it relates to this warrant. So that may be a reason why law enforcement hasn't provided us with the information.
And we also do know, Darren, that several tips have come in really since that surveillance video was put out earlier this week. Law enforcement now working through those tips. But we do have a viewer question that I wanted to ask you. And this is coming from Linda. And she's asking, do you believe the public tips is the result of these detainments?
Well, as it relates to Linda's question, it's very difficult to assess if it was a public tip, but we clearly need to have the public working in tandem with law enforcement and providing that information to try to do the best that we can to uncover these crimes. And it goes back to the public is the greatest asset in law enforcement, and this has been historically sound.
And Darren, another question that we had coming in here was detained is not arrested, right? Are they in custody today? That is another viewer question.
Well, the term detainment is somewhat abstract. When we have a conviction in a criminal court case, that's when we have a person that's actually going to be in jail. They're going to serve some time. But the detainment can be a person arrested, or it can also be a person that's held for questioning. So it can bifurcate in 2 different aspects.
And Darren, as we work to get even more viewer questions here, I did want to share this on the screen for the viewers. As we saw that white tent that was put up just the other day outside of the entryway to Nancy Guthrie's home, and we did see that was taken down pretty quickly there, just a short time afterward. Have we had any updates on why that tent may have been there?
That tent was something that was positioned by the FBI for, I want to say, an hour to 2 hours. In addition to that, we had FBI agents looking for evidence, and I believe that they did recover some DNA evidence inside of the residence. I genuinely believe that what happened in that tent was not to contaminate what the evidence that was extracted from the house, and that was the sole purpose of that tent being there. They didn't want to work the evidence inside of the residence. They preferred to work the evidence outside.
Now, we do have another viewer question here about ransom notes. We do know TMZ, one of the media outlets, had been getting several of these notes. This is the question from Chris saying, was the ransom paid to the original person that wrote the first letter? Do we have the answer to that question, Darren?
There's no information that supports that any ransom has been paid out. There's been an alphanumeric code as it relates to Bitcoin that had showed a sum of just short of $300 in that account. That pales in comparison to the $6 million in Bitcoin that was being requested. We don't know who presented that amount, just under $300 into that Bitcoin account, but oftentimes the money could be deposited by, it can be law enforcement or it can be someone else to see if that account is in fact active. But there has been no nexus to support that the ransom has been paid